Thank you, Felicity, for having me. It's always a pleasure to join the Pharma Navigator, especially ahead of the JP Morgan conference, right? So a few words about me. I spent my career at the intersection of science, innovation, and business execution, primarily within the life science services and CDMO industry. And most recently as the Chief Scientific Officer of Catalent, where I led global R&D team developing products, technologies, and services for customers, while also advising the company on entry into new modalities such as targeted protein degrader and cell and gene therapy. So during my time at Catalent, I had the privilege to being part of the John Chiminski's team and help build one of the largest CDMO in the world. And this provided me with a unique hands-on experience on how CDMO have became critically important to the life science ecosystem, something that went very, very clear during the COVID period. So equally important, I think, is my experience with also all central CDMO are to the life science innovation ecosystems, which is something important for GPM. So because CDMO work and we work with cross modalities, mechanism of actions, and seen hundreds of program Catalent in a given year at 1,000 molecule under developments, and we gain a unique vantage points on emerging science. And it's not just only about breadth. It's let us detect which innovation have the potential to be truly transformative if you got really that curiosity and you really want to make a perfect job for the innovator. So many examples stand out, but one that remained very, very vivid to me is Richard Miller and Brurica, a program where those early insights are translated into a game-changing therapy. And now I'm even more excited to see that it's bringing the same spirit of innovation in its ITK program at Corvus, right? But more recently, I've transitioned into board and advisory role, working with life science investors and innovators, which give me a front row view of how science, capital, and execution are being recalibrated in today's environment, right? And that context, I work with investor, innovator, and CDMO to help them define where to focus, how to differentiate platform and capability, and how to align strategy with execution. So, and one thing that I focus upon is, as I believe in the resilience of founders under the current world. When I develop a conviction in a team, such as Prolific Machine, who's going to present on the Wednesday sessions at GPM, I partner very closely with them to set directions and strategy and execute with discipline, bringing the kind of getting things done mentality and mindset we develop at Catalent so that we turn ambition into market impact and scale. Yeah, so given the current environment, I think it's helpful to start with a bit of perspective. So for me personally, moving from large codes to a standalone advisor board role has been quite revealing, right? It's given me a very direct view of investor, innovator, how they're calibrating their expectations under this very unusual period for our industry. So remember, like 7 or 8 years ago, we live in an era where almost everything was possible, or seemed possible. Capital was abundant, risk tolerance was high, and the industry tried to validate scientific hypotheses that, frankly, I couldn't even have thought of like 10 to 15 years ago, right? So, and that enthusiasm has clearly cooled, and science has again unburdened us, reminding us that truly validating the biology is not just a single shot on goal. And the macroeconomic pressure has pushed that reset. So the results have been kind of a nuclear winter for discovery CROs and early stage CDMOs, and still a larger commercial player being more resilient because they're supported by a strong late stage pipeline and several high quality assets that are progressing to the markets. But in response now, we're seeing some investor shift more de-risking models, single asset company, preclinical and mostly clinical focus, and you could call this, whether you like it or not, easier up innovations. The capital is also concentrated in well-understood areas such as GLP-1 and others. But I view this as a transitional phase rather than a durable strategy, right? It's difficult to sustain in today's macro environment, especially when you think about a third of the large pharma in licensing coming from China. It's probably going to reach north of the 50%, right? And Nubar from Flagship has captured this very, very well when he cautioned everybody against what he called generic innovation, single product company, many shot on goals, because at scale, if you look in the future, that model faces a formidable competitor that's rapidly growing, being China, right? So that said, I remain optimistic, And to your question, there are a number of programs that quietly mature over the past several years from these excitements we've seen over the last 10 years, and that are now approaching and reaching proof of concepts, and some of them early to 2026. So I expect a lot of conversations coming back from Hash to come back in GPM. So, and when does that emerge? Whether from company like the Corvus with Cody, they will remind us market why biotech exists in the first place. It's to tackle hard biology and deliver true breakthrough. But we're seeing an early signal of optimism returning, right? The XBI is surging. Whether it's durable or it's not been too fast remains to be seen, but it's called us to remind of the underlying biotech model. One model that, let's remember, had been invented in the US to address complexity and not to simply avoid it, right? So now coming more precisely to your questions, looking ahead to GPN, I think the most important strategic decision will be how these next clinical proof points combined with the rise of China's competition and innovation reshape investment priority. I'll be listening very closely to how quickly confidence returns to differentiated science and whether capital is ready to re-engage with disruptive innovation, because this is what patient needs. And those conversations and the data behind them, they will be key indicator of the long-term health of the US biotech industry and innovation engine.